A force is a push or pull upon an object resulting from the object interaction with another object. So, when two bodies interact, force results. So, force results due to the interaction of two bodies. So, on the basis of this, force are of two types. That is, the bodies in force can be created either in contact with each other or not in contact with each other. So if bodies are in contact, that is called as contact forces, and if the bodies are not in contact with each other, that are called non-contact forces. So contact force are of two types, muscular and frictional force. You see here the boy is cycling the with the help of his leg, and then contact force like electrostatic force, gravitational force, and magnetic force. So so these are the two types of the forces, the contact forces and the non-contact. Contact force. So contact force are the force that act between the objects when the objects are in contact with each other. So there are two types of contact force. Number one, muscular force. So muscular force are the force generated due to the action of muscles. So force is applied due to the action of muscles. So if a man is shifting the table, he is applying force with the help of his muscles. Another contact force, that is the force of friction. So force of friction is also a contact force, but it is different from the muscular force. For example, while we are rolling the ball, gradually after some time the ball stops. Why? Because the ground, the surface is applying force from the opposite direction, and that force is called as force of friction. So force of friction is an opposite force that come into play when the one object is moving on the surface of the another. So there is the contact between the ground and the ball. So force of friction plays an important role in our daily life also. We so there are two forces. The force applied, the ground is applying towards the left, and so that's why the force of friction occurs between the ball and the ground. So that's thus the ball stops to roll. Friction plays an important role in our daily life also. When we walk or run, our leg when we our leg pushes the foot pushes the ground towards the backward, whereas the ground helps to move forward by applying the opposite force. So there is a frictional force between the ground and our foot. So that is the force of friction which exists between the solid objects. But what about the liquid? In the case of the liquid, while we are rowing a boat on the water, still water or a river, what happened? If we are rowing, then the boat moves. But if we stop to rowing boat, the boat will stop. Why? Because there the friction force occurs between the water and the surface of boat. So due to this frictional force, the boat stops. So these are the examples of the force of friction. So we can say that the force of friction is a contact force. So is frictional force a contact force? Yes. Frictional force is a contact force. It is an opposite force that comes into play when the ball stops due to the action of the surface. Even a man is moving forward due to the frictional force, and also the boat stops to rowing due to the frictional force. So frictional force is a contact force. That's all.